Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna start. This is gonna be like a shortish presentation about what's it like to be a boarding school student and what is a boarding school, what it's like to go there, a bit about my path of how I got into the boarding school I currently go to, and how this all happened. There's a few of you, but it's gonna be cool. Yeah, my name is Oleh Shostaka. I'm Oleh Shostaka. I go to Choate. It's a private boarding school in Connecticut, and I just got accepted to Haverford College in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna be talking about my story and what made me me, and how I got into Choate and how I got into Haverford afterwards. And I'm going to be talking about Choate, because it's the most important stuff, about the academics, about the extracurriculars, about the opportunities available at Choate, and I would kind of like mention the significance of the whole thing. Yes, pretty nice diagram of what I am. Anyways, so I was born in this super small village in Makova, called Makova. It's in Kirovohradska Oblast. There was no school there, no stores, no gas supplies. It was pretty sad. I was the only kid there, and I had to manage my time and kind of create any kind of fun that I could possibly have. It was really upsetting to not have any opportunities to grow as a person or as a student or whatever. So I had to go to this school in Kirovohrad and in the city, study there and do everything I can. So here's the slide. Hey guys, can you see the Kirovohrad slide? Somewhere in the chat. Please. Yo. I hope you kind of can hear me. Well, anyways. So going back to the thing, as I told you, I was born in this super small village, and then I went to school in Kirohrad, and I kind of focused on those four things: academics. I did a lot of Olympiads. I did a lot of like different contests, different competitions and stuff like that. I did a lot of sports. I was a national level judo wrestler. I did like swimming on the city level, on region, and then I also did volleyball. So those kind of like major things I did, they consumed most of my time. And I also did music. I played guitar and piano. I went to music school. I finished it in 9th grade. And I really liked it. I played in like chamber orchestra, in duets, in jazz orchestra, in a band with my friends. And so that was kind of a major chunk of my activities right there. And I also was involved in leadership. I was doing different student government stuff. And then later on in my life, I kind of got more involved with leadership. So moving on. After 7th grade, I applied to Kiev Military Lyceum. It's a military academy in Kiev for essentially high school kids. In my academy, I was more involved with leadership team. I was a section leader when I started. Means I had to be responsible for 7 cadets. And then I moved on to be the platoon leader, and then to company leader, and I ended up being the main academy sergeant. So that was kind of cool. I had a lot of work to do. I had to manage like the whole student body of the academy, and that was like a huge commitment, but it was super interesting, and I got some super valuable experience. I also did different international level competitions. So I went to Poland and Lithuania one time for like leadership slash military slash tactics competitions. And we did a lot of cool stuff with the NATO soldiers there. It was really, really interesting. And then I also played in the National Military Orchestra, because the part of it was like the part of, so my lyceum had the orchestra with like all adults in it. And that was the part of the National Military Orchestra, and they kind of like accepted me to play with them. So I had this chance to work with like all professional musicians and kind of play with them. And I performed in a few concerts. Really liked it. It was really cool to learn from them, to play with them, and so on. I also played guitar at the same time, and I kind of took part in different competitions on region in Kiev, and also this one national level competition for duet players. I also continued to take part in different Olympiads and academic contests. Actually, kind of like my teachers made me to go in every single Olympiad there was. Like every year I would go to like 14 different Olympiads and try to like get some places in those. And I actually like did get some. So that was kind of cool. I liked it. Again, I enjoyed like being a scholar, or like whatever it meant, in the military academy. And I tried to combine that with leadership and music and sports to be like I don't know, a well-rounded cadet, and to sort of like develop myself in all of those fields. And when I was finishing my lyceum, I applied to Ukraine Global Scholars, or UGS. I think you guys heard of it. It's this super cool program that helps Ukrainian students to apply to the United States, essentially to boarding schools and colleges. And I became a finalist after my 11th grade. And then I was working with the Ukrainian Global Scholars. So I kind of like skipped this whole huge chunk of help that Ukrainian Global Scholars gave me, because like I'm trying to focus on boarding school and kind of my story. But Ukrainian Global Scholars was like this crucial thing that allowed me to be here to talk to you now, to study in the US, to go to college in the US. Like all of this would not be happening unless UGS was there. UGS kind of helps you with the application in terms of they can tell you what is the application process to the United States, what it looks like, what are the crucial parts of it, what are like the most critical pieces of information, testing, essays that you have to work on in order to be successful applicant. Then they kind of help you with the testing. They pay for all the SATs, TOEFL, SAT2, and all that kind of exams that you have to take in order to apply. And they help you prepare for them. They have a lot of materials. They have a lot of people who had experience taking those tests. So you're gonna study for those tests. Actually, I feel like all the applicants get a huge bump in their scores throughout the time of the program. Then every student in the UGS has a mentor. A mentor is basically a person who is responsible for you, for all of your essays, for all of your testings, for your application in general. So your mentor would be like having Skype calls with you and kind of discussing your essays and helping you write them, and then like controlling your test preparation to make sure that you're doing everything you can, and then that you are on the right path. And also, it's a community. It's a really tight-knit group of people, which all like all of those people trying to get education in the US, or already got an education in the US, and all of them are super supportive. All of them are excited to be with others. All of them are excited to help you, to mentor you if you need that, to offer you any kind of help that they can offer at the times when you need it. So it's really a family. It's a great thing, and you guys all should apply to it. So then through UGS, I got into this school called Choate Rosemary Hall. It's a private boarding school in Wallingford, Connecticut. It's near New Haven, near Yale University, if you guys know it. It has 850 students, grades 9 through 12. Its endowment is nearly $400 million, which is a huge sum of money for 850 kids. And has a tremendous amount of resources available for the students and for the faculty. The acceptance rate at the school means I think whatever it means like how many people they take each year is about 10%. It was probably like 12 to 13% when I was applying, and nowadays like all the acceptance rates at every institution are getting lower. So that's what you have. The famous alumni that graduate from the school obviously include JFK, John Francis Kennedy, Ivanka Trump, daughter of President Trump, Michael Douglas, is a famous actor, and many other people who've done a lot for this world and who are pretty famous. Or I don't know. Choate has a lot of like a huge community of alumni. It's called the Choate Alumni Network. They all communicate. They all provide different kind of sponsorship for I don't know, like for say some people want to study at Choate and know that they don't have the necessary money to get the education. So the alumni network will provide them with necessary funding, or like they provide different internship opportunities, or they can also like get you acquainted with the alumni in different colleges. So it's super useful. It's super important, and it works well. So I kind of included some pictures from the Choate website. I'm sure you can find those. They kind of describe what is Choate like through numbers. So first, the student to faculty advisors ratio is 4:1, which means your average class size would be pretty small. In fact, you can see it on the right. So this is super important because every class of yours is going to be taught by a super talented teacher, and you're going to have just a few people with you so that the teacher's attention tremendously on a huge amount. It is really concentrated. You can really study like every subject that you want to study in precise details, and it's really important for you to participate in all of those class discussions, and like through those discussions and through Harkness table, essentially, you'll get like powerful detailed knowledge on any subject, and it's really important. It's what like most of colleges and prep schools are doing right now, and it really helps a lot. For me, like it changed my understanding of what the typical lesson is like. Because in Ukraine, you're sitting like in front of I'm sorry, not in front of, like with 30 other people, and there's a teacher in front of you. It's sort of like super conservative. You cannot ask questions. You don't participate. There's no discussion. You just listen to the lecture, and you can try to absorb material from that lecture. Here in the US, particularly at Choate, it's totally different. So here, kind of on the right, was like a table of students. I'm going to show it later, but anyways, most of the students participate in what's called the Harkness table method, which means there's a just round table, and all the students and teacher are sitting together around the table, and they all kind of having a discussion about the subject they're trying to learn. But I'm gonna like sort of talk about that more later. And here on the bottom, you can see like the most popular colleges that students from Choate apply to. Includes Yale, NYU, Harvard, Columbia. I think most of the students go to Yale, NYU, and Columbia. Like the most talented, but also there's like a lot of talented students at Choate. So every year, about 10 to 15 students gonna go to Yale, 10 to 15 students gonna go to NYU, about 5 to 10 students are going to Columbia. Few students usually go to Harvard and MIT and stuff like that. So it's really cool. You can see how selected these colleges are, and how many people from this particular school go to those colleges, which means the level of education and preparation here is really good, because it really helps the applicants to get into those places. And the education they get and the preparation they get, and different kind of like well-rounded knowledge that they have here, it all helps to distinguish them from the rest of the application pool, and make those colleges take 5, 10, 15 applicants from this particular institution. So going to academics, I kind of listed the classes I've taken here throughout my 2 years, at least some of them. So right now I'm taking multivariable calculus and statistics. Those are two math classes. Pretty much multivariable is the highest level you can get here at Choate, and it usually is taught sophomore or freshman year at a college. So as a senior at Choate, means I'm in 12th grade, I can take courses which are usually taught to sophomores or at least freshmen at college. So it means when I'm going to be going to Haverford, I'm going to be placed in courses which are usually taught to juniors, it means third-year students at college. So I'm going to like skip the 2 years of college studying, essentially. I mean, in terms of courses. So like I'm going to be like in courses like math, I'm going to be like 2 years in advance, and I'm going to take like different courses in math, which are usually available for students who are studying, like they are doing their 3rd year at the college. So I also took statistics and computer science, physics. Those are like techie subjects. I really like those. They're all taught in a similar manner. You'll kind of sit in a circle. You have like either a desk lined up in a circle, or like you have a huge table. And even if it's a math class, you always have a discussion. You kind of like learn math through conversations and through thinking together as a group. So as an example of that, my multivariable class, we have like my teacher never answers any of my questions. So whenever you ask a question, a teacher would say something like, ask your teammates, or like ask your classmates, or like depends on if you're working in the groups or not. So you usually ask your fellow students on whatever you're trying to learn or trying to understand, and then some of your fellow students is gonna explain you the like super complex math stuff that you're trying to learn, and then you all learn from each other, and it builds like this super tight-knit community of students who are trying to grow together as learners, as scholars, as mathematicians. So I find it super useful, super cool, and I'm gonna move on. So Choate also has 8 signature programs. Those are programs, usually year-long programs or term-long programs that you can get involved in. They usually require some sort of application to get into, but they provide like significant concentration on a particular academic subject. So for example, the science research program, that's a program where you, during your summer break, you conduct research in a particular science topic. And then you have a university professor like at MIT or Yale or Harvard and Columbia, and that professor works with you on sort of like concluding your statements and on summarizing your work that you've done, and then you present that work at Choate. So you like your senior year or like your junior year, you have this like huge scientific paper that you just wrote, and it includes a lot of stuff about like, I don't know, like super deep math or nuclear physics, or as my friend did, it was quantum computing. So all those different things that are not usually taught in a school, but you can research them through this program and get super deep knowledge on those topics. Also, there are opportunities like term abroad, means you can go to like Spain or France or Argentina for a term and study there in a similar kind of boarding school. Or there's the art concentration program. My friends is in it. Essentially, every day after classes, you go to this art center and you work on a particular I don't know, future masterpiece of yours. You do artwork, or you do photography, or you can do music. It means you have like super many practices every day or every week. There's capstone program. Capstone program is about concentrating on a particular subject of on actually any subject that you like. So you just pick a subject, and then you can get immersed into studying that subject. So for example, I want to study I don't know, biology. So I just kind of I go to my teacher and I say I want to do my capstone program, capstone project on this particular topic in biology. And if my teacher approves it, I have this directed study with him, and I spend 3 to 4 months just studying that project, and then I sort of summarize what I've learned, and I either present it to the fellow students, or I just like sort of publish my paper on the kind of stuff I learned throughout my capstone project. I'm gonna move on. So those are typical images of what the class looks like and how people study. So here in the left, it's a French, it's a history class. They're studying French Revolution. So they're having this like huge table. There's a teacher in there somewhere. You can see it. And there's students who are just trying to discuss the material that they learn. Here on the right, I think that's some math class. They're like doing some sort of a test or something. On the bottom, you can see the maker class and the environmental science class. So they all have iPads. This is also like one of the things I forgot to mention. Every student gets an iPad, which you have all your work in, and then every faculty member has also gets an iPad. And you usually do all your work, all your homework, all your classwork, all of your tests, quizzes, and stuff like that. You usually do it online in your on your iPad, and then you submit it through like different portals or different apps like Google Classroom or Canvas or something like that. right? It's some sort of like this class. I think it's like probably English or history, and they just kind of let children sit outside and have a discussion, and that's pretty cool. Also, here on the right, in the upper corner, that's, I think, Spanish or Chinese. I really can see. So that's how the language is taught. Usually, like you have this like sort of a circlish orientation of your desks, and then you just you have a conversation. You learn through having a conversation. You learn through doing stuff while collaborating with your peers, and that's really important. The extracurriculars that showed, there are many, and they really kind of depend on, like, what you do depends on what you want to do. There are some requirements, like you have to do sports, but then there are intramural sports when you have like one practice a week, or you can do like fitness and like do whatever you want essentially, or you can get like 6 courses and then you have like you have an excuse to not take sport. So anyways, the activities vary on depending on what you want to do, what you want to study, or what you want to pursue in your life. In my case, as I did music before Choate, I continue to do it here. I'm part of the jazz orchestra from different concerts here at school and in other places. It's really cool. It allows you to learn a lot, again, through your peers or through our director. We have different assignments they have to complete. We have like practices 2 times a week. Then I did volleyball. I was on the varsity team. Varsity team is a huge commitment. You usually have one practice. It's like 2 to 2.5 hours every day, and then every Wednesday and every Saturday you would usually have a competition or a game. Means you have to go to a different school and just play with their team. I also did wrestling as I continued doing judo here. It's sort of similar. I did water polo. I'm now doing rock climbing. I also work on campus because I'm trying to, like, my family is not really able to support me financially here, so I'm trying to like make some money on campus. There are opportunities for students with low income, so you just so for example, I work with the alumni center, so I either call people and try to make them make a donation, or I don't know, I can scan documents, like different like Choate stuff, or I can stuff letters with like, I don't know. So it usually depends. It's kind of easy work, and you get paid, so that's cool. And I also like took part in different clubs last year. I'm not as involved this year because my senior year I was like more focused on the application process. But last year I was part of 3 clubs. I think it was Technology Student Association, where you can create different technology stuff for people, usually for people with disabilities. Then I was part of Maker Club. It's like 3D printing, laser cutting, all that kind of stuff. And I also was part of an astronomy club, so gazing at the stars. Those are some of the pictures of. Oh yeah, finally. These are some of the pictures of. They sort of tell you what those different extracurricular opportunities look like. So like there's volleyball here on the left, and then some maker club doing some hackathon, and then there's a cappella, and there's sailing, theater in the center, and there's hockey. There's the physics flotilla. So there's like one like annual event for physics where you have to build your cardboard boat, and then you have to like sail with it all over this lake. And there's dance, and there's different art performances. There's like the last picture is our what's called the Colony Hall. It's the place where all of the students can gather and like watch a performance, or like where the school meetings happen, and different stuff like that. So some other opportunities include research. As I talked previously, you can do a lot of science researches or math project, or I don't know, like natural sciences like biology and I don't know, chemistry. Or you can do stuff with like humanities. You have to contact the professors, and then you can do different summer like fellowships or like just summer project with them. You can do some researches with those people, and those are really cool. Other thing is internships. There aren't many, but there are some. Like a lot of our UGS kids went back to Ukraine, and they were taking part in different internships. Like Artem Laptio was taking part in Zio Alliance, and he was like doing some different technology stuff for the company. Or like Vlada, one of the other kids, was working with Kyivstar, and she was doing some like mobile application development for them. So you can actually work with those companies, and it's super important for your college applications for one part, but more importantly, it's like the crucial experience you get to understand if you say like understand the future nature of your profession. So if you like want to be a programmer or I don't know, a mathematician, you just try to get some experience, some taste of the work that you're going to be performing in your further life. And it's important. It's really valuable experience. And I think most of the students are trying to do it over summer. And then there are some programs. They're usually only available for like freshmen, sophomore, and juniors, because the seniors obviously are gone in the summer. But there are some programs for seniors as well. Summer program is usually 3 to 5 weeks. You just go to a particular college or particular location, and it also like totally depends on your interest. So, for example, last year I was doing this summer program at MIT. I was working with the team on developing this Apple Watch application for public speakers. So it was more like concentrated on computer science and entrepreneurship, and we were trying to develop our startup. And some of my friends went to like biology summer programs or physics summer programs. They're like different programs at Yale and Harvard and MIT. Some like Ihar Barakayev, another UGS student, he went to Stanford, and he was there for like Stanford Summer Leaders Program or whatever it was called. So it also like it totally depends on your interests. There are many of those programs, and usually the students try to get like summer programs are important because they give you the knowledge, the kind of outside the classroom knowledge that you cannot get even at Choate. So try those, and that will work well for you. So yeah, just to sum it all up, I think that any kind of education allows you to get a lot of opportunities, and American education in particular allows for many opportunities in the US, in Canada, in Europe, and so on, because obviously it's totally valued. American education allows you to participate in different summer programs, internships, in different immersion programs, in different researches, and it is crucial for you to develop as a scholar, as a well-rounded person, as a future college applicant, and even after college, like your education would be your key to success. So your boarding school here is your head start in life. It's like the first crucial thing that you have to accomplish before, like you don't have to, but like you should accomplish before you go out to like this totally new world with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of different things you can pursue in your life. I think boarding school allows you to get the essential knowledge in like most of the spheres, most of the fields you're gonna have to experience in your real life. It also allows you to kind of understand what life is like in the US, what the college is like, because all of the schools are obviously college prep schools. And yeah, has purpose that make you have a well-rounded person that allow you to grow with the person while growing as a scholar. And if you work hard, it always pays off. Like I tried to do everything in my capability back in Kilbarat and then later in the Cave Military Lyceum. And then I got into the US and I'm trying to do the most I can here because it's the only opportunity that I have. And there's like, to be here, to be in this boarding school, to study here is a super rare opportunity. And I've used it as a gift, as like super important piece of luck that I got. And I'm trying to get the most of it. And I'm trying to do everything I can to like make it right, make it worthy, make it cool. Anyways, for each one of you, don't miss your chance and try to apply to UGS. I get the website right here, ukraineglobalscholars.org. It's really one of those things that, like, without UGS, I would not be here, I would not be talking to you, I would not be studying at Choate. So it's totally super important. It is one of the ways to I don't know, get this chance to study in the best institutions in the world and become really successful and impactful person in your life. I got some of my contacts here. It's my email, then my Instagram, Shostak, my LinkedIn, for those of you that use it, and my Telegram username. So yeah, thank you all, and I hope it was somewhat informative and just like got you some understanding of what it's like. If you have any questions, please contact me either in chat or either through any of those things. Yeah, thank you, and it was really nice talking to you.